Again, thank you for joining us. We hope that that discussion we had on the NAPCO beneficiaries, and according to the PRO of the support group already, the number in excess, some 65,000 beneficiaries who are owed, according to him, some 9 months in arrears. And of course, we had callers of those former beneficiaries who said, well, depending on which of the models, they were owed arrears between 12 to 16 months. And we'll keep following up on their subject, and then also tend to do the advocacy so that perhaps the duty bearers also will get to listen, and then they will get to be paid. We encourage you, as it is, to always cash out with us. It goes with the short code *439#. And then when you get onto the dashboard, please make sure that you choose option 2. You're choosing option 2 because you're watching TV3 New Day, and logically, it's a good Monday just for you to end the month very well. I am encouraging you to participate fully, not only today, but the rest of the week. And already I am there. I've already done the first stake. So when you get there, it says, welcome, select station. And you have a lineup of the various subsidiaries of Media General, including regular programming as well. And choose option 2. So you choose option 2. When you choose option 2, it says enter the number of tickets, and into bracket we have 5 cedis per ticket. So I'm choosing 5 for the meantime, and then in the next one I'll do another 5. So make sure you choose, and then you say authorized payments of the 25 Ghana cedis from your account to Iswati for radio entertainment, and then you enter your PIN. I've entered my PIN, so subsequently, look, it is real. You may not have, or might not have won it yet, but certainly you will. Today, we'll be discussing a number of issues. Let me say good morning to a number of you who have already joined us on our stream. What we do encourage you is to make sure that you share the stream with us. Good morning to you, Chairman Godwin Tamuklo, who is the CEO for the RAID Group, as well as Dr. Salifu Combat, one of my great friends who is in Boko, currently works with the Presbyterian Hospital there, and then also is a CEO for the Combat Pharmacy Group. Let us know also what you think about our regular programming. Ras Kotoka, you've joined us. Good morning to you. Bansa Crosby, Newton, Dake Newton, good morning to you. I have Abdul also joining us. Please share the stream. Let us have some nice conversation. Ziad also has joined us as well. And then Mensa Majid, good morning from Bechem, Toronto. Mensa Majid, where is Bechem, Toronto? You're saying happy belated birthday to Honorable Charles Akwesi Siedu and number of, and Sherry Giovanni as well. Aziz Donla also join. Please share the stream. Let us have some nice conversations. In the meantime, let me just introduce our guests for the morning. I have with Alan Tremontain's Movement for Change, one of the leading butterflies in the room, well attired for the morning. Nanaya Sapon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland.
You were here with us on Friday.
Yes.
We didn't give you a restful weekend at all. You're back.
We have to work.
To contribute to national discourse.
Sure, it's for God, man, and country.
Very good. We're grateful. And then also, Lawyer Duji, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Are you going to the court today?
No, today
Not
is
today.
a bit freer.
A bit freer.
I'll do office work.
You're doing office work.
Yeah.
We thank God. Well, so we're discussing a directive that had been issued to the Ghana Revenue Authority to allow SML to go back to do the revenue assurance or monitoring they were doing for the downstream petroleum sector. So we'll be having an interaction with Manasseh Azure in the course of our initial discussions as well. And so far, let me just, I'll take you through what the KPMG findings were indicating, because they said that no technical needs assessment was done before the engagement of SML. And, well, they did indicate that that was not a legally required obligation, so to speak. No PP approval for contracts. GRA subsequently regularized procurement process after contract was granted. And these are some of the key findings of KPMG, the reputed audit firm. And then also there was the absence of parliamentary approval for contract as required under Section 33 of the Financial Management Act. Total fees paid under the contract from 2018 to date of suspension amounted to 1.2 billion, or 1 billion, so to speak, and the total fees estimated to be paid to SML under the 2023 contract for 5 years, counting, is 5.1 billion. Subsequently, we're told that the upstream petroleum audit and minerals audits could be terminated or may be terminated. And then the president is also directing comprehensive assessment of the sector by the ministry and then also the GRA, as the finance ministry, and the transaction audits and external price verification services may also be terminated. Now, let's put the letter that is giving them the directive to go back to do the monitoring, because we'll be asking Manasseh what he thinks about this. Now, let's put the letter up quickly, then we'll read that letter to get that verification done and then ask the critical questions thereof, because the letter is indicating that it says reference is made to their letter, of course, and it says we wish to inform you that SML has been directed to return to base. I mean, basically that's what it says. And so with this is effective the 14th of June in accordance with the presidential directives on the KPMG reports in total. Nani Asapong, what do you make of this? SML, the controversy, it's a presidential directive, so allowable.
Why would you want to conclude that way?
Okay. Is it not? What do you make of it?
Yes, Roland, thank you. First of all, I would say a very good morning to your viewers. I know that you have a huge fans in the north.
I do?
You do.
Great.
You know, I was telling you of, I was born and bred in the north. I did all my schooling there, and so I got a lot of feedback.
Oh.
And
All my northern brothers and sisters.
Yes.
We're grateful to you for always watching us.
so, good morning to everyone. SML, Roland, see, we have come to a point in this dispensation where politicians are making the country feel, of which it is, that they do not want to fight corruption. And they want us to feel and agree with them that when you are in a position of power and influence, then you should be able to use it to get whatever that you so want to get. How did we get here? How did it start? Well, the whole SML contract was supposed to help GRA to enhance revenue collection in the petroleum sector. Now, if my understanding serves me right, it means that they are supposed to actually monitor the figures that are being reported by these petroleum companies. This work is not new. This work has always been done by the GRA and the Customs Division. I believe that before the formation of SML, GRA had a system where they actually did monitor and also did audit the work, the figures that were being brought in by these companies. Now somebody decides to say that there is a loophole Yes, of course. There were reports that there were some under-reportings. And so we ought to be able to fix it. So then I set up a company in fixing the rot. And in fixing the rot, then I cause more rot to be done. If you read the report by the KPMG, you would know that even the reason why that SML was brought in, they were not able to fulfill in its entirety. They, SML themselves, per the report, ought to be audited. Now, my question is this. Is GRA telling us that they are not competent enough? They do not have the expertise to be able to set up such an office? Is GRA telling us that they do not have what it takes to upgrade their staff, to build staff capacity, to be able to do this work? Well, then, I would want to call for an independent body.
You want an independent body?
To audit when GRA was in charge and doing the same work SML wants to do or is doing, as against that which SML did. Then let us come to a point and then compare the cost analysis. How much it did cost GRA to do this same work, even if they were underwriting it, and how much it is costing SML, government, now contracting SML to do the same job. Let's do the cost analysis. Let someone fill us in. Let us understand. And then let us peg it with having to build the capacity of the staff of GRA, rather than just pushing everything to SML. One of the findings makes it very clear. Per the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, as amended. A lawyer is here, so I have to be able to quote it right. Indeed, when you look at the Procurement Act, it is not explicitly stated, not at all, that you need to do a need analysis or state it. But all you have to do is to have a procurement plan. Let's move out of the law. Would you be able to draw a plan, a procurement plan, without you yourself assessing to know whether or not you need that which you are planning to procure? I do not think that the law would have to state it clearly. Before you make procurement, you yourself would sit down, analyze whether or not you need that which you are procuring. And so if they are telling us that the Act has not stated it, and so they do not have to actually have such a need for it, or state it.
And that again reaffirmed by the President's own
No, but I beg to differ.
statement as well.
Let's bring it down to our level. That's why I said let's move out of the law. Would you buy a suit when you do not need a suit? Would you look at the necessity of having a suit? If you are in winter, would you have to do a need assessment to see whether or not you want or need a winter clothes? So if they've been able to draw a procurement plan, then they should be able to tell Ghanaians that indeed they needed to have done it. I think this whole SML deal, it's some people coming together just to cook something out.
I don't understand. You say it creates loot and share?
More or less.
How do you draw that conclusion?
how much is it costing government to contract SML to do something which GRA was already doing?
Okay.
How much would it cost government to build the capacity of GRA staff to do better?
And I think that has dominated your submission so far. Manasseh Azuria-Winner, he's an investigative journalist who brought this up and also uncovered this. He's joining us from his base in the United States of America, where he's currently on fellowship or studies. Good morning to you, Manasseh.
Good morning, Roland.
So far, Nana Sapon's submission have been repleted with some key concerns and questions. I know that in that investigative piece that you premiered, which now is a public piece, you did indicate, again confirmed by officials of the GRA, that they could undertake this sort of monitoring in terms of the revenue assurance. Is that so? And so is that at variance to the current position that they should go back and do the revenue assurance or monitoring?
Well, I didn't hear what Nanayao said, but from our investigation and after we spoke with both SML officials of the GRA, it was 100% clear to everyone that this company was not needed in the first place, that this company has not added any value to the system, and that this company did not deserve to be paid a peswa of our revenue. Meanwhile, the company has been paid over 1 billion Ghana cedis. Let me just take you to page 157 of the KPMG report which the president commissioned. And this is what the report said about key observations in downstream petroleum liftings. GRA, SML, and the Ministry of Finance told us that when SML started work, monthly liftings got to 400 million liters a month and over. And it was that incremental volume that they calculated and claimed to have saved Ghana 3 billion cedis. And when we confronted them, they said, well, it wasn't true. But this is what KPMG said. If anybody wants to even discount the report we did and highlighted these things, the key observations, page 157 of the KPMG report, it is online. It says, one, an average of 400 million liters per month was already being recorded in Ghana in 2019 and the first quarter of 2020 per our review of NPA's data, that they were already recording this figure in 2019. SML started work in 2020. Point two, NPA and GRA recorded a significant decrease in lifting volumes in April 2020. That was when the lockdown was there. They said volumes recorded after April 2020 were constantly above 400 million liters. Then the final point on the lifting says, in the latter half of 2020, when SML commenced operations, data comparison from 3 sources indicates that NPA reported higher annual volumes than both SML and GRA. Following NPA is GRA. Following NPA, GRA reported the next highest annual volumes, with SML recording the lowest annual volumes. Now we know, and in that our documentary, the GRA, SML all agreed that the figures SML recorded were not used for tax purposes. KPMG is reaffirming that they recorded the lowest volumes. Even GRA recorded higher volumes than the SML. So if you bring someone in claiming that the volumes are low, you are bringing someone in to record higher volumes, and this person or this company is recording the lowest, and you are even not using it, then what is the sense in keeping it? Then let's go to the revenue. Was SML responsible for the revenue increment? The answer is no, and we indicated it in our documentary. But Granted that somebody doesn't believe what we said, this is what KPMG says, also on page 158 of the report, which is online. It says an incremental growth in revenue. Sorry, the preamble says the following were observed from analysis of the revenue collected by GRA over the period 2015 to 2023. And point 1, it says an incremental growth in revenue was observed from 2015 to 2023, except for a decline observed solely in 2017. This revenue is the tax you and I pay when we buy every liter of petroleum product from the pumps or filling station. And KPMG is saying that it didn't start growing when SML started work, that the revenue started as far back as 2015, except only in 2017. Point 2, one significant, and note the word significant, contributor to this growth was the increase in the number of taxes over the years, from 2 taxes in 2015 to 5 taxes in 2023.
So wait. When it came to the petroleum tax build-up, we only had 2 prior to 2016, so to speak, and now by 2023 we had 5. That's a point.
5 tax point, yes. And then the revenue we are talking about is the taxes they collect. SML doesn't collect the taxes. SML doesn't have any addition to the volumes. Then it says another significant contributor to this growth is the increase in tax rates in 2016, 2019, and 2021. However, there was a decrease in tax rates in 2017, coinciding with the revenue reduction from 2016 to 2017. Then finally, they say for any petroleum product lifted to be taxable, it must be declared in ICOMS. That's the Integrated Customs Management System. The GRA has an electronic system.
Yeah, certainly.
Yes, and they said GRA's records of petroleum volumes lifted, that's taxable and non-taxable, are transmitted from NPA's ERDMS system into ICOMS. So SML's flow meters reading are used for assurance purposes only.
Okay. Now, Manasseh, going by what you have itemized or teased out from the KPMG report, which of course we're all privy to, and then up to date 2023, 5.1 at least billion accruing to SML by way of revenue or their percentage or their earnings paid to them. Their decision to go back or the decision to direct them to go back would mean that more payments. What are the implications to the ordinary taxpayer?
The implication to the ordinary taxpayer is that as people are dying of dialysis, we don't have the money. Some people who are managing our economy are giving that money away freely. As containers of medicine and vaccines donated to Ghana by the Global Fund has been locked down because some people don't have the money to clear it, the money that would have cleared that and saved lives is being given away freely. As hospitals, people are turned away for lack of beds and space, the money is going away. This economic crisis we faced, the bottom line of everything is that some people who were supposed to get the money and use it to our benefit decided to give the money away. And the money that goes to SML per the consolidated contract a year is more than all the monies that we take or collect from the e-levy. And this e-levy has come to hurt a number of small business and all of that. So these are the implications. But for us as a people or as a country, it also means that there is so much impunity that something that people have done and are candidates for jail if we ever get a serious government who wants to take up this investigation, people are going to go to jail. There is somebody who is so fearless and still wants to go ahead and do it. And that tells you how deeply we have sunk as a people and as a country.
Manasseh Azuri-Awene, thank you very much for making the efforts, staying up to be able to talk to us these few minutes. We're grateful for this clarification. And Eduji, so it means that the billions of payment to SML will continue, but you go by the contract. Somebody will say, well, that is for work done. A contract is a contract. What do you say to that?
Okay, so I think it's important that we put this SML conversation in the proper context.
Which is?
You see, first of all, good morning to your viewers. Now, you see, this whole contract, listen carefully, was cooked by Mr. Akufo-Addo, the Vice President, the Finance Minister, from opposition. So now this is what happened.
Were you there?
Wait. Akufo-Addo took the oath of office on the 7th of January, 2017. It's important for the record. By 14 February 2017, they had already reached out to, by way of incorporating SML. The original owner of SML, Mr. Evans, is a timber merchant. Now, a timber merchant now decides to set up this company called SML on the 14th day of February 2017, 37 days after Akufo-Addo became president. And within the space of 3 months, they were looking for this contract. Now, guess what happened? When they put up even PPA approval requests, in the wisdom of the Public Procurement Authority, they could not give them sole sourcing approval. Because under Section 40 of the Public Procurement Act as amended, before an individual is given sole sourcing approval, you must demonstrate that the kind of service you are about to offer or provide, only you have a certain proprietary interest, a certain intellectual, and that you have something unique that all other persons cannot provide. It's important to make the point that as at the time they were putting up this SML whole deal together, corrupt deal together, remember that MPA were already performing that task. It's important. So there was nothing unique about the SML deal. 2, now one of the principal agents of SML is Mr. Christian Tetesoti. Now, Mr. Christian Tetesoti was a technical advisor to GRA.
Consultant.
Yes, technical advisor.
In a consultant position.
Yes, to GRA, advising GRA. So with the benefit of the insider information, they cooked this deal, right? And we are being told that for the lifetime of this deal today, over $1 billion Ghana cedis had gone to this company. Now listen, if you look at the circumstance under which this particular company and the officials of GRA have violated the laws of this country, it leaves nobody in doubt that there is a bigger fish behind this deal.
And violations of the laws are?
1, and I want to just read Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act. This is what it says. Okay. Section 33. 1. A covered entity shall not enter into an agreement with financial commitment that binds the government for more than 1 financial year, or that results in a contingent liability, except where the financial commitment or the contingent liability is with the prior written approval of the Minister of Finance and authorized by Parliament in accordance with Article 181 of the 1992 Constitution. This law was flagrantly abused.
Not having recourse to Parliament for approval.
It was not even complied with. Now, if you look at the Public Financial Management Act, it says a breach of the Act or a violation of the Act constitutes an offense.
It's criminal.
It's a criminal offense, without doubt. Now, it's important also to make the point. If you read the KPMG report itself, it highlights the breaches of the Public Procurement Act. What more is bizarre than this? What more is bizarre? And you see, if you have a situation where Mr. Christian Tetesoti, a consultant to GRA, with the benefit of trade information within GRA, now jump ship and now become a director more or less of SML, it speaks to the question of conflict, where you now begin to use knowledge acquired by reason of him being a consultant to GRA for the purposes of this deal. I mean, if you pick the entire, SML deal, it is the worst financial scandal ever to have happened in this country. Over 1 billion.
And we're told that up to 2023, they're in lieu payment of some 5 billion.
I am saying that over 1 billion Ghana cedis, that is the total budgetary allocation of 4 ministries.
That is if they are giving the money.
Exactly. And we are talking about 4 ministry budgetary allocation. You understand? Given to one entity. And in all of this, the persons you can see, and I have always maintained that this whole SML, the alter ego, the people behind them, are the Akufo-Addo administration. This is a deal they have cooked, or what you call create, loot, and share. Because you see, prior to this,
try and wrap up for me.
Yes, prior to this, they never had any technical expertise in that area.
It's immaterial to, and you're a lawyer. Sometimes you can form companies with due process.
No,
you
no,
have,
you have
the right sort of expertise.
No. If you look at the PPA,
who make up the shareholding and the directorship subsequently.
It's not about director's experience. It's about the experience of the entity. What unique role are you able to perform that if you are not given this contract, it will not be done? And like I pointed out, the National Petroleum Authority already have engaged an entity to help them with this revenue assurance, validation of how much is transported by way of our fuel, how much fuel that comes into the country. Now, what is even more critical, and this is where I want you to look. When Mr. Akufo-Addo took his oath of office on the 7th of January, this was the promise he made to the people of this country. I shall protect the public purse by insisting on value for money. These were the words.
Somebody will ask, why is there an argument being made from you that there's no value for money in
Where was the value for money per this SML contract? None whatsoever. But taxpayers, 1 billion Ghana cedis had gone to this company. Now, you see, I have always maintained, right, that this whole digitalization agenda being championed by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had become an avenue to promote corruption. The man is using digitalization, right, for the purposes of amassing money for his campaign. And that is why this whole SML deal was quickly put together. Within 37 days, that Akufo-Addo and Bawumia took over the presidency of this republic.
This contract was spearheaded by the finance ministry. So let's put
no, please, I beg you.
Now, end for me.
See, I never voted, or whoever voted in 2016 never voted for Ken Ofori-Atta. We voted for Dr. Bawumia and his boss Akufo-Addo. And he took the oath of office and said, I am going to protect the public purse. That declaration was not made by Ken Ofori-Atta. Now the point ought to be made clear that this whole SML deal is one of the platforms that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration have decided under the rubrics of using digitalization, rather, instead of using it to fight corruption, they are using it to promote corruption. And this one, it is corruption that benefits directly Mr. Akufo-Addo and his wife. And you see, that is the only impunity. In the midst of all this, no, hold on, 30 seconds.
No.
In the midst of all these statutory breaches, Akufo-Addo has the audacity.
You have to make a certain recourse to a statement, because according to the KPMG, there is a word used, may, and it says the revenue assurance can't continue, and the directive is in.
First of all,
for that effect.
First of all, the deal
I think so.
No, first of all, the deal is
please wrap up.
Hold on. The deal is multi-year. It's multi-year.
No, you will have another bite again.
Now, they ought to have complied.
If you have to itemize some going forward, key concerns you have for this directive for SML to go back into the field and do the revenue assurance, for which we've been given also now an assurance by Manasseh Azuri-Awene that when he was investigating this, he found out that GRA could do the work. What would be those 5 pointers you think for which the president or the director shouldn't have been given for SML to go back to go undertake its work?
Yes, Roland, even before Manasseh made that statement,
yes,
I think that I stated it clearly.
Some key concerns you have?
Yes.
Okay.
They should be able to tell us that GRA does not have the capacity. And if they do not have the capacity, how much it would cost the country to be able to make them build that capacity. Roland, this is, in my view, an issue of corruption. And I think that my brother would always drag in the president and the vice and the minister of finance, because they are those who have been given our purse to handle.
Okay.
First of all, it is but for a good reason that in a time like this, when there's going to be so much of huge amount of taxpayers' money going into a deal, that the laws will state that you should get a written letter or document from the Minister of Finance and approval from Parliament. Roland, for us to deal with the issues of corruption, one, we ought to be able to demonstrate the leadership, personal willingness and integrity. That is one. Is the leader willing to fight corruption?
And if you say the leader, you are talking about the president and the vice president?
I'm talking about the government setup.
Okay.
Are they willing?
What have they done in this, especially this directive to go back into the field, that makes you think that the commitment is not there?
The letter is directing that of the downstream. Have you read the recommendation
from KPMG?
From KPMG,
yes,
on that of the downstream. Now, you just pull it out. I just want us to look at something when you're done. But then, so we're talking about the demonstration by the leader. Two, I think that the entire Procurement Act, and this is from our side, should be reviewed. There are a lot of loopholes in the Procurement Act that allows for some of these games to be played. So the Procurement Act in itself should be reviewed. And I personally think, and I think that most of Ghanaians are of the same view, that there are too many agencies that are fighting corruption, too many of them doing same things, same time, different ways and fighting one another. Let us call for an investigation into this. The Office of the Special Prosecutor would have a story to tell. The Yoko would have a story to tell. But which one are the other ones? The service and all they will all have a story to tell. At the end of the day, we will not find a docket. We should be able to bring all of these agencies together. Let us have a corruption czar, an anti-corruption czar. And that is something that Alan Chomantin is calling for, where we will put somebody who would not have anything to do with executive. Most of these agencies are linked one way or the other to the executive. And I was telling somebody yesterday, who is a lawyer, that we always talking about separations of power. Am I right? But there can never be separations of power when the legislation arm would have to go to the executive for money, when the executive would have to come to Parliament for approval of their budget. And when the two of them have stolen money, they go to court, the judiciary. So at the end of the day...
Oh, you're laughing. Yes,
of course, that's
judiciary
what...
and then you laugh.
Oh, that's you know what I'm talking about. Oh,
I don't know.
Why would you know? Smart would never know. So, you see, we ought to be able to set up a proper investigation into this. 5.1 billion. Roland, have you been to Kolebu recently? Have you been to the hospital?
Yes, I have.
Do you know that it is supposed to be our biggest teaching referral whatsoever hospital in Ghana?
It is. Not that it is supposed to be, it is.
Roland, I am saying this without doubt, that if any of us here falls sick today and is going to be taken to Kolebu, I think that we would resist it. And yet we're giving what, 5.1 million Ghana cedis into private pockets? Billion, I mean, yes. If you're converting it into the current rate of the dollar, it is almost in excess of $60 million. Am I right?
Yep.
No, the 1 billion is almost 60 billion.
No, $60 million.
Yes. Do we know what this money can do for the country? We have people dying, and yet we have this money going into private pockets with impunity. With impunity, Roland. In fact, as we speak, my brothers from the other side would always say that these things were in existence. We agree, but we need to start from somewhere. We should have that political will. We should have that personal will and integrity to fight some of these things, whether it is going to cost us the next elections. Roland, leaders are always thinking about the next elections in Ghana rather than thinking about the next generation. 5.1 billion Ghana cedis for no work done.
They've done the work.
Listen,
they've installed their machines. The argument and then the investigation and the outcome by Manasseh Azure Awene is indicating that the Ghana Revenue Authority as well as the MPA collaboratively could do the work. We're already having their machines or their devices monitoring. Yeah.
And I am saying that so these monies are being paid to a private entity for no work done. When we have agencies, including the GRA, that can be able to do this work. In any case, the figures that are given by SML, are they being used by the GRA? If you have contracted somebody to do your work for you, and the person submits figures to you.
Please wrap up for me.
And the figures you, through the back door, have gotten contradicts with the figures the person has submitted, and you believe in your figures and that of the person, do you still keep that person working for you and still pay money to that person? This is money gone down the drain. When we have uncompleted road constructions, when we have people who cannot pay for their hospital bills, when we have NHIA suffering, Roland, I think we can do better as a country.
All right. So we also have joining us Professor Smart Sapon. He's one of the leading posters and analysts we have currently in the country. He currently holds the position as the Director of Research and Innovation with the Kumasi Technical University. He's joined us. Good morning to you, Professor Sapon.
Hi, Roland.
Yeah, and I know that we had started a discussion before you came. I'm sure you had been following.
Yeah.
There are key critical issues that remain at the center of discussion for many governance experts in terms of the commitment of government to rate the structure of administration that we have as a state, of corruption, etc. And particularly for this SML contract, the concern is that asking SML to go back into the field perhaps should not be the right thing to do. What's your own observation about how people feel about this SML contract and vis-a-vis government's commitment towards anti-corruption?
Well, Roland, a very good morning to yourself and to the gentlemen in the house.
Yeah, this is Edwin Tamaklo.
I know them very well.
Right.
Everybody knows Edwin and my brother here too.
And Sapon.
Yeah, Nana.
Very well.
We don't meet anywhere. Okay. Maybe they're very well.
Please go ahead. Go ahead, Professor Sapon.
Yeah, so Roland, I think we are here because of some absence of care or due diligence, which we should have observed at every step of the way. So we start with an inefficiency of a system. We suspect that some revenue is leaking, and in our quest to getting that resolved, we go through processes that skips some stages of due diligence. Okay. So for me, that is what happens. And we open the box for people to read all meanings into it, because, I mean, what was it that made the steps ignored? What made people ignore the steps and all those things? So for me, we are where we are because of some care that those responsible or persons charged with the responsibility to keep perhaps decided not to keep or felt too much in a hurry. And when you hurriedly do things, you expect outcomes that would generate public disaffection or outcry. So that is where we are. KPMG have done its work, and when you read, you can see some of these things carefully highlighted. Going forward, in my view, no matter the intentions, and I remember when Special Prosecutor's case came and he was crying, some of us were of the view that no matter how well intended you are, you should still make time to follow due diligence. You have to. So whoever is receiving the backlash should admit it, should take it. Those supposed to do the right thing who did not do. I don't think we can blame public procurement authorities so much. But for those actors who made this deal, I think they should accept the backlash that is coming. And when given the next opportunity, they should take their time. In fact, you are doing everything for in behalf of the state. And so the structures the state has put in place should not be sidestepped. That, for me, is my first observation with the matter. But come to the report. KPMG have done what they have to do. And there are a lot of recommendations going forward. I think it was a certain inefficiency on the part of agencies that naturally would have been in charge of this revenue mobilization. Our inability to install the things we need to install so that we can measure well the amount of oil or whatever we are measuring, so we can charge its collaborative revenue and all those things. All these things are what that are. So the options were for government to either resource those agencies of state, but I mean, government chose to contract somebody else from elsewhere. And my problem is not with getting an outsourced agency to come and do something for you, but the process. The process.
How does the reportage of some of these incidents, or let's say ineffective ways of awarding contracts, so to speak, by perhaps not going through due process, perhaps have a bearing on government's commitment towards corruption? I mean, generally.
Yeah, it's supposed to have, because you see, corruption it's not a tangible thing. It's not something you can touch. So in alluding or trying to build up a case of corruption, you check the steps the process took. And once you identify steps being sidestepped, why? It constitutes what can be classified as corruption. Perhaps not intended or intentional corruption, but still, there is some amount of, there's a case if somebody wants to make that point of corruption. So, yes, if governments really want to fight corruption, it should be seen in deed, not in words. If you have the opportunity, make sure you respect the various steps available, because it is observing those steps that constitutes a clean deal. Once people sit and observe steps being sidestepped, however good intentions you had, once you begin to sidestep the structures, people would. Okay. And they are you
the one who did the poll on Napo being the one who should be chosen?
No, I think NIB, right? National. Okay. I have a similar report, but the one on the table one for discussion.
You also have a similar report?
Oh, I do these things almost all the time.
Very often.
So, yeah.
Is your baby every time. Now, as you wrap up, let's take 2 minutes each. Going forward, how do you think this is going to be received by the anti-corruption community, the governance community, so to speak?
You see...
Just 2 minutes.
Yes. You see, if you look at the overall conduct of the Akufo-Addo administration, beyond the hypocrisy, because as we speak, Mr. Akufo-Addo, through his Attorney General, is in court prosecuting former government appointees for breaches of the Procurement Act and breaches of other laws of this country. At the same time, under his watch, right, his appointees are deliberately engaged in violence against laws passed by Parliament of this. I mean, sometimes you ask yourself, where from this brazenness, where from this impunity, you know that there's a law that says a multi-year contract should go for parliamentary approval. Now you decide that you award a multi-year contract, you not give any credence to it. What is that? Now, you see, the Commissioner General, Madam Julia Esiam or whatever, Madam, don't you have families at home?
What's that got to do with this? Please, let's not be personal with it.
No. Because you see, she signed the letter asking for the deal to go through. In the midst of all these red flags.
But she's the Commissioner General.
It matters not.
She makes the decision whether an entity.
You are not getting the point I'm making.
Special services will be needed or not.
I am saying that we have come to the point where there is a report commissioned by the President, KPMG report. The report details red flags, statutory infractions, among others. You do know that some of these statutory infractions are offenses by creation of law. Now, in the midst of all this, what will make you want to sign such a directive for this transaction to proceed? It's marks of impunity.
Your time is up.
The only reason why somebody will see the law, just 30 seconds on this. You see, but for, and I want to salute Manasseh Azuri on this, it's important. But for Manasseh's work, the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration awarded a second contract to SML. This time, the upstream. That was going to give SML $120,000 every day. $36 million annually to SML. What wrong have we done to Akufo-Addo and Bawumia?
No, time is up.
Monies that can be used for dialysis, among other things. As we speak, you know that the dialysis centers are all down. Simply because we do not have money.
You've made the point. Nania, your 2 minutes on this.
Now, it is scandalous.
2 minutes on this.
I just want to read a text someone sent that I should read to you. It says that tell Roland.
Yes, sir.
That I am in Tamale Teaching Hospital. Dialysis machines in Tamale Teaching Hospital are 15. and only 3 are in good shape. These 3 are to be used to serve the over 200 patients that come to the hospital on daily basis.
Only 3
Only 3
for Tamale.
Tamale
That'll be
Teaching
nothing.
Hospital.
That'll be nothing.
The-
sector.
the entire
Probably now,
five-
okay. The 5 northern regions. No one has any other.
Where Dr. Bamia comes from.
You understand? That's why sometimes I want us to stop speaking the English too much.
Let's go local.
Let's go local. Dialysis. 3 machines are functioning for the entire of the 5 northern regions. In fact, not the 5. I would add Bono East to it because Kintampo, Techiman,
They are closer. Yeah.
they are closer than
That will be pay and all that.
you understand. And yet we have 5.1 billion Ghana cedis going into a private pocket. As I said, the laws are there. But the Bible says that make an opinion smasapon translating or say you are didn't know and yet I didn't know so you understand? You are didn't know it's when I didn't know I think that SML should do us the good. If every Ghanaian is having a problem with the transaction, if every single Ghanaian has an issue with the contract, they are going to deliver to Ghanaians. We Ghanaians, we have an issue with it. And if the Ministry of Finance and the GRA are refusing to withdraw, they should consider the masses and stop this.
No, that's why
All
A.T.
right.
John Dramani Mahama had given a specific problem.
know,
This one will be terminated.
Roland,
It will not continue.
Professor Sapon, you 2 minutes
We'll
on
not
this,
continue.
and then because we have to talk about why the city is not doing too well with the dollar.
Yeah, so Roland, all I'm saying is that there are clauses in the law, I'm sure Edwige can speak to that very well, which perhaps may be impeding the complete cancellation. But, I mean, who created all those things in there? So that's why I'm saying that if you want to say you are fighting corruption, do that in deed. Be holistically be seen. Even if it takes a minute more to pause and make sure that all the statutory requirements have been met, including parliamentary approval, including this, including that. You do that. And this is not going to be like a one-off thing. We are saying this for future governments and everybody else who will be given position of responsibility. Take your time, respect the laws of our land, and make sure anything that passes through your hand, at least you are not, you can't be a saint, but at least make sure you minimize the instances of sidestepping the law as much as you can. I think that is all I have to say.
Okay, let